Electing your Social Security benefits. Let's make sure you're able to get everything you need in retirement and not get those nasty letters from Social Security about some type of overpayment. So let's go through the entire list today. And this is also a live Q&A. Looks like I already got a bunch of questions up there. So I'm going to go through this list, and it should take about 15 minutes or so, and then I'll open up the floor to any and all of your questions. All right, let's get right into it. So, um, when we're talking about early retirement, I'm not going to be talking about disability today. So, we're talking about retirement benefits, spouse benefits, divorced spouse benefits, surviving spouse benefits, any other retirement based benefits. That's what we're going to talk about today. So, and we're talking about early retirement, because when you retire after your full retirement age, whatever it is, 66 and 8 months or 67 or whatever the case may be, then you can make $1 billion in a month, and it doesn't affect your Social Security, check negatively at all. We'll talk a little bit about that when we get into the high 35 years. All right. So early retirement, 62, 63, 64, whatever the case may be. I put the numbers down there at the bottom for 2025. You're limited to the amount you can make. This year, it's $23,400. And why is there's a limit to how much you can make when you're receiving your Social Security retirement benefits? It's been around since 1935. Social Security was supposed to be a replacement for lost wages because of retirement, and if you're not really technically retired, so that's kind of the logic. But anyway, so $23,400 for the year. What a lot of people make a mistake, and therefore they lose money. And because Congress refuses to support Social Security, the Social Security employees aren't there to answer these questions, which is a conscious decision by politicians. I've gotten into that before, but anyway. But people miss the monthly earnings limit. So there's also a monthly earnings limit as well that you can switch from an annual. Okay, let's say you're 63 years old, 64, whatever, and you want to go ahead and start receiving your Social Security benefits, retirement, spouse, survivor, whatever, in July. Okay. So you want to start your benefits in July, but you're currently working. Let's say it's February right now. It is February right now, but anyway, if you're watching this later, it's February right now, and you're currently working, and you want to continue working until June. And June, you're going to stop, and you want to start your benefits in July. Even if you go over the $23,400, it doesn't matter. You can make $1 billion from January until June, just as long as when you start your Social Security benefits in July, you're under the monthly. So they can only do that the first year. You can only do that the first year. So the first year you start collecting Social Security benefits, you can switch from an annual to a monthly. And your $1 billion is obviously over 23,400. So the annual doesn't matter this year. The monthly. The first month you earn under $1,950, Social Security can start your benefits. So starting, let's say in July, you're going to be under $1,950. So they can start your benefits in July. You just have to stay under $1,950 for the rest of the year. And then the following year, then they can't do a monthly earnings limit again. You have to stay under the annual $23,400. And what happens if you don't stay under the annual? Then Social Security will hold back $1 for every $2 you go over. So if you make $10,000 over, then Social Security wants $5,000 back, essentially, or they will withhold $5,000 worth of benefits. If your benefit amount is $2,000 a month, they will withhold 3 checks. And you're like, Ed, that doesn't make sense. You said 2003 should be 2.5 checks. No, Social Security can't hold half a check. They will withhold that whole check. One of the common mistakes another common mistake that people make, and actually the Social Security employees unfortunately make. How do I know? I ran the third busiest Social Security office in the country, and I know Social Security employees often make this mistake. It's part of the non-service month. So when you go in there and you file and you say, yeah, I made, 50, 60, $70,000, but I'm going to reduce my work starting next month and I want my benefits to start. The Social Security employee is supposed to go in there and code that into the system and say, okay, starting in July, those are non-service months, XXXXX. They're supposed to do that and put quite often they mess it up. And then the following year, you get a nasty email in the, or you get a nasty snail mail from Social Security and said, hey, you worked too much. You said you were going to earn under this and you didn't. And so you owe us all this kind of money and stuff. Easy fix. Just go down to the Social Security Administration when you get that and say, here, yes, I did go over the annual, but I stayed under the 1950 starting in July, and whoever took my claim forgot to code that in correctly. So no big deal. They'll just wipe out the overpayment, and then just make sure you tell whoever you talk to, yeah, make sure you get that person trained. Anyway, what counts as income? Earned income. People ask all the time, okay, I'm making $20,000 working, but I'm also going to get a Social Security check, and that's going to be $10,000 a year. Does that count? No, Social Security doesn't count, only earned income. I'm getting $20,000 a year, and I'm also getting a pension from X, Y, and Z, or I get an alimony from X, Y, and Z. Does that count? No, it does not count. I'm making $20,000 a year working, and I also, play poker or gamble or have a inheritance or money or something I get. Does that count? No, that does not count unless you're a professional gambler and your job is to gamble. That is your business to gamble, because not only wages but net income from business. So people that have a business that they're running and that's their income, the net income from business from your business is considered is part of that annual earnings limit. And for self-employment, there's a little bit different on that as well. But so yeah, for gambling, unless you're a professional gambler, same thing on real estate. People ask me all the time, says, well, I do like an Airbnb and I rent out this place. That doesn't count. That's kind of like your investment, retirement investment. So it's not really counted as earned income. So that's not part of the 23,400 exception, unless you're a professional, unless you're a realtor and that's your job, that's your business is to, you've got a bunch of properties that you rent out, then obviously that counts. All right. And when I'm talking about counting and annual earnings limit, I'm not necessarily talking about Medicare Part B and Part D. Those are different. Some people pay a higher premium for Part B and Part D, and that's based on income from 2 years prior. That's called the income related monthly adjustment amount. A lot of people are getting those letters right now. And if you disagree with it, if you reduced your earnings or something like that, then you should definitely appeal that. That's an SSA 44. If you need help with all things Medicare, make sure you reach out to my partners there at Chapter, and they can help you out with all that. So in what counts as income for the annual earnings limit is different than what counts as income for Medicare, that extra Part B and Part D premium. So I want to make sure I throw that in there. So what if you go ahead and file for early retirement benefits, and then you decide, like me, after a week of retiring, says, yeah, that's not for me, and you decide to go back to work? No problem, no problem whatsoever. There's a couple ways to do it. If you do it within the first 12 months that you receive benefits, what you can do is you can call Social Security and withdraw your application. And it never happened. Because it never happened, you also have to pay all that money back. You can only do that within 12 months. But another way, if you are receiving benefits for a while and you get a job that you're going to earn way over, then you can call Social Security and do a work report and tell Social Security that, yeah, I'm going to make, 50, 60, $70,000 this year and pretty much, withhold most or all of my benefit amount. And they will withhold those checks. So you don't get overpaid. So that's basically suspending benefits. And then once you hit your full retirement age, then you can restart those benefits. And what happens to those benefits you don't get? This is called the ARF, the adjusted reduction factor. So when you collect your benefits early, they're reduced. So let's say you collect your benefits 30 months early. So your benefit amount is reduced by 30 months. But then after 10 months, you get bored and you decide to go back to work and you don't get those 20 checks. Once you hit your full retirement age, the Social Security computer system goes in there automatically and recalculates your benefits. So they say, hey, Susan, your current benefit amount is reduced by 30 months, but you only got 10 checks. So we're going to recalculate. We're just going to reduce your check going forward for 10 months. We're going to put those 20 months, extra reduction. We're going to unreduce the reduction. People think, well, they'll get those 20 checks, the full checks, the amount. No, you'll just get unreduced by those 20 months. So from then on, you'll only be reduced 10 months, like you took your benefits 10 months early. And that's 100% automatic. Another thing that's automatic is if you are working your early retirement, or at 75 or 85 or 95 or whatever the case may be, what about that work? How would that affect your Social Security? Well, if it's one of your high 35 years, then it will increase your Social Security. And again, that's all automatic. So now is our favorite time of year. It's tax season. Okay, a little sarcasm there. And once you file your taxes, you and your buddies at the IRS do your thing, and then the IRS notifies Social Security that said, hey, Susan, Bob paid this much last year, and the Social Security computer system goes in there, whether you're 75, 85, 105, whether you're receiving benefits or not. Social Security computer system goes in there and says, hey, is this one of Susan or Bob's high 35 years? Oh, it is one of the high 35 years. They kick out the low one, stick in the new one, recalculate, and everything is adjusted, and that's 100% automatic. That one takes a little bit longer. The COLA, the yearly COLA, that is immediate, pretty much in January. Some people in December. But the adjustment for the high 35 years, that takes a little bit longer because you have to file your taxes, and then the IRS has to notify Social Security, and then Social Security does the calculations and sends out the check. But if you were eligible for an extra $10 a month because last year was a big year, then they will say, hey, it's August and we just did the calculation, and here's your extra $10, every month going forward. And by the way, we owe you 7 months back to January, and they'll pay you that 7 months back to 8 months back to January, whatever the case may be. And that's 100% automatic. Okay. One of the things that a lot of Social Security employees themselves and people mess up on, if you're receiving survivor benefits, there's a little crinkle in there, that your full retirement age for survivor benefits is a little bit different than full retirement age for regular spouse or retirement benefits. Surviving spouse full retirement age is a few months different, but the annual earnings limit is exactly the same, the year, because once you hit your full retirement age, the annual earnings limit changes. So the year you turn your full retirement age, it's no longer 23,400, it goes to $62,160. So if you turn your full retirement age 67 in July, you can make $62,160 from January till June. And then starting July, you can go back to making, $1 billion a month. If you make over that $62,160, then Social Security withholds $1 for every $3 you go over. So before your full retirement age, $1 for every $2 you go over the 23,400. The year you turn your full retirement age, $1 for every $3 you go over the $62,160. And again, the month you hit your full retirement age doesn't matter anymore. Here's a strategy that some people use when they are going to go over the annual earnings limit. So people say, well, I don't know if I'm going to go over, and I might make 25,000 this year, or I might make 26,000, or I might make 27,000. What do I do? Should I call in Social Security should I tell them? What should I do? What should I do? Paranoid. If you're just going to make a little bit over and you're not 100% certain, what a lot of people do is they just kind of let it ride. And then what happens is, because if you're going to make quite a bit over, then I would call Social Security and do a work report and say, hey, I'm going to make $100,000, so I shouldn't get any of these checks, and I don't want the overpayment, I don't want the nightmare, so just go ahead and stop my checks. But if you're going to be a few $1,000s over and you're not exactly certain, what a lot of people do is they just let it ride, and then when you file your taxes next year, keep it in the back of your head that, oh yeah, it looks I'm probably went $1,000 over, $2,000 over, so I'm going to get this nasty grant from Social Security. It's going to say, hey, you said you're going to make 23,000, but you made $24,400. You went $1,000 over, so you owe us $500, and it always says on the letter, pay us now. We want our money now. I've done this for a few decades, and probably 1% of people actually write a check and, okay, here's our $500. Almost everybody sets up a payment plan. and it's interest free. So, if you're just going to be a little bit over, a few $1,000s over, you can just consider letting it ride, because if you call up Social Security, number one, if you call up Social Security and want to stop those benefits, if you haven't called Social Security recently, you'll know what I'm going or know what I'm going with this. It's going to take you hours and hours and hours to get in there, because Social Security is at the lowest staffing in 35 and 50 years, because politicians are trying to break it and make sure you're not able to get your benefits, and they're doing a phenomenal job. So please don't take it out on Social Security employees. They're more and more jumping ship right now as we speak, and customer service is going to get a lot worse. And that's the whole plan of politicians, to make it so they can come in with their, plan to give your trust fund money over to the billionaires on Wall Street. So that's been the plan for a few decades. And if you disagree with that, look in my YouTube description, and you'll see the plan that was written up in the 1980s, laying out that whole procedure. So, if you want to stop those benefits, call Social Security, sit on the phone for hours and hours and hours. And if you're just going to be a little bit over, you just might, again, just let it ride. But you'll have to be on the phone for a while. And unfortunately, sometimes, if they put it in wrong, you might stop the check, and then to restart it. Because if you tell Social Security that you're going to make $30,000 this year, next year they're going to assume you're going to make $30,000 next year. So if that is, let's say next year it's 24,000, so that's $6,000 over. So next year, in 2026, they will hold back $3,000, because you're going to be $6,000 over. They'll hold back $3,000. If your check is $1,500, they'll hold back the first two checks. So sometimes, again, it's a strategy that you need to consider whether it's best for you. And the last thing, throw this out on disability. If you are on disability, the work requirements and working on Social Security are completely different than regular retirement. There's this substantial gainful activity and trial work period and all that kind of stuff. But I just want you to know that if you're on disability, your disability stops when you hit your full retirement age, 67, whatever. Your check continues. You will continue to get your check. It'll be the same check, the same pay date, direct deposit, all that kind of stuff. But basically, they'll stop taking your money out of the Social Security Trust Fund, the Disability Trust Fund, and start taking it out of the Social Security Retirement Trust Fund. And it's just a bureaucratic thing. But what's important for those on disability is you're no longer limited into work. So because you're on regular retirement benefits and you're past your full retirement age, you can make $1 billion a month, and Social Security doesn't care. And you no longer have those continuing disability reviews. So I see a lot of people out there that come into the live Q&A and said, yeah, I'm on disability. I'm 70 years old. And, how much can I work? And I'm like, well, number one, you're not on disability. Nobody past their full retirement ages on disability. They've all been switched to regular retirement benefits. So number one, you're not on disability. Number two, you have no limitations because you're not on disability. You're on retirement after full retirement age. Okay, so 18 minutes. I went a little bit long, and I think we got through the whole list, but I'm sure there's 400 different variations of questions. So let's jump into your questions now, and let's see what we got. Let's see. Will Social Security Administration fine be $4,000 because another government person had been payee in the Department of Social? Okay, I'm not sure what that is. Yeah. Hi, I live in Florida. How much is the cost on a Medicare supplement, please? And is the extra cost is plus a plan A and B, the $185? Yes, if you're talking about Medicare supplement in terms of, yes, a Medicare supplement, a lot of people confuse those with a Medicare Advantage. So there's Medicare supplement, and then there's a Medicare Advantage. The Medicare supplements, those are the ones I always recommend you check out first. That's the Plan F, the Plan N, the Plan G. And yes, they do come at a cost. Florida is a strange state across the board. I grew up in Florida, so I can say that. So yeah, it really depends on your particular area, your age, and whatever it is. Yes, it is above and beyond the $185. So you have to pay for, the Medicare Part B, the $185, and you have to pay for the Medicare supplement, however much it is. Generally across the country, like a Plan N is in the about $80 or so when you turn in 65. A Plan G is about 110, 120, $30 or so on average across the country. Again, you can reach out to chapter there and they can tell you exactly how much it is in your area, try to find you a plan. And now is the open enrollment period, actually. So January, February, March, this is another opportunity if you have a Medicare Advantage plan to get out of that Medicare Advantage, switch to a back to original Medicare and get a Medicare supplement plan. But if you don't have a special enrollment period, or if you're not in a particular state, then you might just have to go through health underwriting. So if you're healthy-ish, or if you're in these particular states, or you have some type of special enrollment period, you might be able to get out of your Medicare Advantage and go to a Medicare supplement plan. So I always recommend Medicare supplement or G. But if it's not right for you because they do have a monthly charge, then Medicare Advantage plan. And those right now as well, you can switch. So if you have a Medicare Advantage plan that you turned out, you forgot to check because there is extra effort you do for Medicare Advantage, is you have to check those on a regular basis. So if you forgot to check this last time around in October, November, then you definitely need to check it to make sure it's still the best plan for you, that still covers your doctors and, covers everything. But if you find out you signed up for a Medicare Advantage plan and you don't like it, you can also switch right now, and you can switch. So this is February. If you switch now, then your new plan will take effect March 1st. And then you have until March 31st. If you do it by March 31st, the new plan will take effect April 1st. And other than that, then you're pretty much stuck until the end of the year, unless you move or there's some other type of special enrollment period. And there's always, the enrollment periods for Medicare supplements and Advantage and Part D and all that kind of stuff it's crazy. So that's why and then chapter helps for free, so you can reach out to them. All right, let's see. If I can make a suggestion, okay, please don't call the 1-800 number. Call your local Social Security office. The national number won't answer. Yeah, it really depends on which office you call. The SSI. SSI, people confuse that. They call the local SSA office. Yeah, SSI is the welfare program that Social Security administers, so supplemental security income. But yes, great. Yeah, Dana. But here's a little insider scoop. It really depends on when that office was established. The first office established by Social Security was in Austin, Texas, back in the 1930s. But anyway, a little history there. But it really depends when the office was established. If they were established before, I forget what the date was, the year was, they don't have to list their local numbers. So a lot of people throughout the country, if they look in Google for their local phone number for the local Social Security office, it says 800-772-1213. So, yeah, it's kind of a weird little thing. But here's a trick that, that Social Security hates me telling people, that if you have a hard time getting in on the 800 number, the 772-1213, here's a trick, insider trick. If your local Social Security office doesn't have their local number, Google any office in the country. And if you just need to change your address, you got a question or something like that, or you want to schedule an appointment, call any office in the country. And when, if they might get in, so someplace, in, East Texas, Paris, Texas, sorry, Paris, Texas, but, they might not be too big. Their population in Paris, Texas is 25,148 last time I looked. So you might be able to get into their phones. And if you're calling from Tampa, Florida, they'll yell at you a little bit and say, "This is not your phone. This is not your office. You need to call your local office." And all you have to do is say, "Does it say Social Security Administration on the building that you work at?" And they say, "Yeah." It says, "Well, you are my office." So, and you can do that for most things. But if you have a current claim, a current current claim pending or something like that, then yeah, you need to reach out to your local office. But if it's not some type of current thing, then you call any office. And the second call you should make is to your politician to tell them to support Social Security. You paid money for help. When you paid your FICA taxes all those years, Social Security and Medicare taxes all those years, part of that money was supposed to go to get you help when you needed it for people to be on the other side of that phone to pick up the phone and help you. So you don't have to sit here and listen to me drone on for an hour every day. They are supposed to be helping you out. And why aren't they? Because they're at a low staff and the lowest staff in 50 years, because Congress refuses to give them the resources that you told Congress to give them. You told Congress, hey, when I get to 62 years old, if I become disabled, if I pass away and my children or spouse needs help, I want you to help me. And Congress refuses to do it. So call your representatives and say, hey, what the heck are you doing? And here's a couple of other things that you can talk to them about saving Social Security as well. But anyway, all right. How does Social Security work for self-employed? I'm soon to be 62 and I'm independent contractor, realtor 1099. My husband is self-employed general contractor. What line items do they use to calculate income? Your net income. So uh, your husband's is different than yours. So your income from your 1099, but not necessarily the total income, because if you're a realtor and you get 1099, you've got a bunch of expenses, phones and whatever. So whenever you file your taxes, the net income from business, that is what we're looking at there. So as long as you're under that, then you're good. Moved here from UK 30 years ago, only paid into Social Security for 25, retired now, receiving half of X Social Security, also get a British pension, which reduced because of WEP. Will Fairness Act affect me? Yes. And they're still working on that. And it's going to take a while because, again, Congress changed this massive regulation that Social Security has been had around for 40 years. And they said, here's 3 million people you need to take care of now. And typical Congress, they said, and we're not going to give any resources to do it. So just figure it out. And guess who pays? Y'all pay. Not only those 3 million people, but everybody else pays because it's longer to get in on the phone because they're doing this. Yeah. So it's anyway. All right. Good day, Doc. I'm more concerned than ever now that Musk has all our information from the IRS and bank account information. I'm thinking about taking my money out of the bank. Should I? Well, I might be a little bit extreme, but yeah, he's definitely. They said it's read only, but he says no. I'm stopping stuff. And what are you talking about? Is read only stuff? Yeah, I think it's. And it's interesting that the read only statement came from a very low level person. Nobody, and the top of Treasury was going to sign that letter. Yeah, and disagree with yeah, our CEO. So yeah, and he's Medicare. They just sent his teenagers, I guess, into Medicare and Medicaid to see. Yeah. Anyway, it's also, what about our check? Should I get one of those express cards? Um, Okay, yeah, I was talking about this yesterday. So Social Security has contracted with a company. It's called Direct Express. There's another one too. I think they just brought on recently. But it's basically people that can't open a bank account or something. There's like a debit card that you can put your money in there. So it just turned 65. Thinking about claiming spousal benefits. Should I wait until I am full retirement age? He is retired. I am getting disability. Um, So he is retired. If he is currently receiving benefits, his current spouse, then you kind of are obligated to file for those benefits. So if you're receiving disability benefits and his full benefit amount is over twice yours, then you're entitled to that difference. So if this is your current spouse, if this is your spouse, then yeah, you have to go ahead and yeah, I would definitely call them up and get those benefits. Um, Why won't they raise the amount that a full retirement age person can make before they start taxing their benefits? Yeah, I don't do taxes, so that's a whole different thing. How soon does your Medicare kick in from what date after you get SSDI? Once you've been on SSDI, Social Security Disability, for 2 years. So, and there's obviously different dates. There's your established onset date, and then there's a 5-month waiting period, and then there's back. And so the quickest way to do it is just call Social Security, and they can look it up on what's called the MBR, the Master Beneficiary Record, and they can tell you in 2 seconds. Oh, your Medicare will take effect, February, whatever. So just call them up because the onset dates and everything for disability are kind of wonky and stuff. So just reach out to them and they'll be able to tell you no time. Hello, Dr. Weir. I've told many of what you teach. Keep educating us. I appreciate you. Why don't you suspend and take office in the White House? Just a thought. Yeah, I don't think I don't think I'd make a good politician. So, I am an Australian. I receive a spouse support from my deceased American husband. I get taxes 30% plus. If I earn a dollar, I lose it totally. Why? Yeah, tax type thing. Yeah, I can't answer international taxation. Let's see. As age 73, have not worked since 11/22, but SSA is still charging me IRMA. They told me it would end in 2015. I mean, maybe 2025, possibly. So yeah, IRMA, as I mentioned, is calculated different. It's not if you took out any money from your 401k or IRA or capital gains or sold a house or something like that. It's not only work; it's all other income. Usually lines 7 and 11 from your taxes. So but if you make over so much, they can charge up to $650 a month for Medicare Part B. That is a fact, yes. So that's the Part B, IRMA, the extra premium for Part B for high wage earners. Yep. Question: do people who earn higher than 176,000 income receive Social Security? If that monthly payment comparable to what they paid into Social Security? Okay, so yeah, those people that made over $176,100 after that amount for 2025, you no longer pay into Social Security, but you pay into Social Security for anything under that. So if you paid the max for 35 years and you wait until 70 to start collecting those benefits, yeah, those people collect, $5,108, I think it is this year. Um, but as many people, the regular viewers on my channel know, that the way they calculate Social Security, low income wage earners get a higher replacement rate. So if your average earnings throughout your life are like 1,000 or only like $1,000 a month, you receive 90% of that. So you receive $90 a month or $900 a month. If your average earnings throughout your life was, let's say, $10,000 a month, then you only get 35% replacement rate. So the lower income workers get a higher replacement rate. $10,000 a month, you get 35% replacement rate. So your check is $3,500. So yeah, they get a smaller replacement rate, unless you're part of that 3% that just won the Social Security Fairness, or what I would say the Unfairness Act. They get a higher percent than anybody else that is equal to them. And that is completely unfair, but I lost that battle. So, will you be able to address Congress or the current administration to give them your advice on how to save Social Security? Absolutely. Regular viewers to my channel know that I always tell, yeah, I'd be more than happy to jump on a plane and head to DC and do this, that, the other. And so, contact Social Security and work out a payment plan, and you can have 60 months or 5 years to pay, but you have to contact them. Yes, good. Okay, yeah, I should have mentioned that. Thank you. What an awesome community we have. Anytime I miss stuff, y'all pick up on it. But yes, thanks to Anderson Cooper and his awesome expose on 60 Minutes about overpayments, they changed the policy. And now it's really, really easy to do a 60-month payment plan, 5 years. So if you have some type of overpayment, you contact Social Security and tell them, hey, I want that, 60-month payment plan. And again, there's no interest. They don't charge you interest, but you have to contact them to get that. So it used to be a lot more difficult, but it's a lot easier now to set up a payment plan. Tina, will I always have to pay taxes on my Social Security even after fraud? I was hoping I can make more money and pay taxes only on that which I received a W-2 for. Yeah, I don't do taxes, but yeah, death and taxes, right? Yeah, you always have to pay taxes. But um, if all you're receiving is Social Security, then most people no, not most people, everybody that just receives Social Security doesn't pay taxes on their Social Security. That's why this whole movement for, no taxes on Social Security, which is fine, okay, fine, but it's not gonna help the people that you think it's gonna help. The people that only receive Social Security, it's not going to help them because they don't pay taxes on their Social Security. If you have other types of income, if you're also working, you've got investments and 401, whatever the case may be, then you're have to pay taxes. And so and it's going to hurt the people that you think it's going to help, because that those taxes right now, when people pay those taxes on Social Security benefits, that goes to the IRS, and the IRS turns it over to the Social Security Trust Fund, and that money is being used in the trust fund to pay your benefits. And if that goes away, then that means the trust fund is depleted quicker, and more cuts. So right now we're looking at about 2033 or 2034 that there are going to be cuts, if not sooner. And we're looking at about 22, 23% cuts across the board. So yeah, it actually, you know, hurts the people that do you think it helps. If there is a waiting period to collect for divorce spouse benefits first, I must apply on my record first. Was married over 10 years and not remarried. Do they have a waiting period? No, no. Um, Only if you're talking about independently entitled divorce spouse. So your ex-spouse hasn't filed for benefits yet. If your ex-spouse hasn't filed for benefits yet, then you have to be divorced for 2 years to collect that. But if your ex-spouse is currently receiving benefits, yeah, there's no real waiting period. Do you recommend applying for Medicare Supplement or Advantage if you have TRICARE for life? Neither. If you got TRICARE for life, that is your Medicare Supplement Advantage. So you're good. You get Medicare Part A, Part B, you got your TRICARE. Enjoy your life. There's some Medicare insurance agents that like to sell you something, that you don't necessarily, definitely not a Medicare supplement, because you have to pay for that. Absolutely not a Medicare supplement. Because your TRICARE is your Medicare supplement. Some do a Medicare Advantage because they want some of the extra benefits and stuff, but it comes with some extra paperwork that, I don't know if it's worth it. But anyway, does Medicare always go back 6 months, and do I need to not contribute to an HSA that 6 months, or just not over contribute half the total out? Yes, Medicare Part A, when you sign up, it's kind of like a 6-month retro type thing. So if you're contributing to an HSA, you have to stop contributing to that HSA 6 months before you start. Um, and Social Security employees won't tell you that, and they might, but probably not, because it's not a Social Security thing. It's not a Medicare thing. It's an IRS thing. Social Security doesn't care if you're giving to an HSA. If you go in there and say, "Hey, I want to sign up for Part A," and they're okay, all right, there you go, and let's sign you up. They won't talk about HSA because that's a tax thing. The reason that it's between you and the IRS. If you contribute to an HSA while you're on Part A, then the IRS will send you a nasty letter and says, "Hey, you shouldn't have got that, $15.70 of tax credits for contributing to an HSA, because you could. You can still keep your HSA. You can, withdraw from your HSA in the future and stuff. You don't need to delete it out or anything. You just can no longer contribute to it, 6 months, starting 6 months before you start Part A. So my kid's dad passed April of 23, and they are trying not to give but a small back pay. They're owed a lot. Um, so yeah, 2 years ago. So if you just recently filed, then yeah, sometimes they can only go back a year or something like that, unless there are extenuating circumstances. But um, so they're trying not to. That means you haven't got an official decision yet. So what you do is you go ahead and file, get your benefits started, get the benefits for the children and everything like that, and then you'll receive a decision letter in the mail, and it'll say, "Hey, here's how much you're going to get, and here's how much it's going to what day of the month you're going to get it, and all that kind of stuff." And on the bottom of the decision letter, it has your appeal rights. And at that time, it's an SSA 521, really easy form to fill out, request for reconsideration. You send it in and says, "Yeah, okay, cool. Thanks for the money. But we believe the money should have started April 2023 when he passed away, for X, Y, or Z reason." So if my husband plans to collect his full retirement age in July and still will continue to work, is there a penalty? Nope, because he's going to start his benefits in full retirement age in July, and that's when his full retirement age. So nope, nope. He can make $1 billion a month, and if he does, make sure you contribute and buy me a beer or coffee or whatever the case may be. Anyway, all right, all right. Let's see what else here. I'm jumping around. We got lots of questions. Ed, you're talking about how the system works now. What happens after the OMB change? Um, the Office of Management and Budget, the one that's Vought is in charge of. Wow, yeah, he doesn't like Social Security and Medicare at all. Yeah, so that's Project 2025 rolled into one person right there. So yeah, I'm keeping an eye on it though. My Social Security benefit was reduced, and spousal, now deceased, was wiped out, deceased by WEP and GPO in 2008. Is there any way to speed up my recalculation since I have actually already filed? No, it's okay, Candace. So you've done the right thing, and there's Candace. Make sure you reach out if you work for some government organization that had that. Make sure you reach out to all your friends on Facebook and tell them, you filed, so you're in the system. But there's a lot of people like in your situation that, was going to be fully GPO'd and therefore they're not going to receive anything. And so they never filed. And Social Security doesn't know. So tell those people to reach out and file an application so they can get those benefits. But how to make it quicker? Yeah, I can tell you exactly. That's how you do it. Again, Congress kind of said, it's like a Starbucks, and it's like, you got one person making drinks, and then Starbucks says, "Oh yeah, free drinks for the entire city," and then they just leave one employee there. And do you think the customer service would be bad? Yeah, and that's basically what Congress is doing, and they're doing it for a reason because they want to break it. I appreciate your knowledge of Social Security and helping people through the maze. You're welcome. Thank you. Appreciate it. I'm still working. I was informed that if I applied for my Social Security, they will deduct Social Security from my monthly salary. And when I retire, my Social Security will not increase. Is that true? Okay, I'm not sure. So you're still working. If you apply for Social Security, they will deduct Social Security from my monthly salary. So you're from your monthly salary from work. Yeah, you'll always pay FICA. So even if you start receiving Social Security, you're always going to pay FICA. And when I retire, my Social Security will not increase. Well, if that's not one of your high 35 years of earnings, yep, that's correct. So, all right. I have a question. When does Social Security start taking out state tax? Do they notice Social Security doesn't do state tax. You can request federal tax to be taken out. It's a W-4V, voluntary tax withholding. So, talk to your tax people and say, yeah, you're making all this other money and stuff like that. So maybe you should have some money taken out of Social Security, 7%, 15%, 22%. I think those are the categories on that little sheet of paper. You can actually do it through the 800 number now if you can get through. Yeah, and what people do is people used to ask me all the time, how many percent should I do? Hey, that's between you and your buddies at the IRS, but you can change it. So some people say, "Oh, I'll do 7% now, and then I'll see next year when I do my taxes, and if I want to go lower or higher, I'll adjust it at that time." So people do it that way. Dr. Ed, my name is Ron. Says it's you says your name is Sandy, but I'm hoping you're asking for someone else, which is awesome of you. Thank you. I'm 72 years old. I was married to my wife for 11 years. Both of us were on disability, and I divorced. She passed away by accident. Am I entitled to get her full Social Security? You will get the higher. So if your benefit amount is higher, then you're getting what you're getting. If her benefit is even $1 more than yours, then you might be entitled to the extra dollar. So it really depends on who the higher benefit amount is. And even then, there's also that lump sum death payment, the $255. I know it's embarrassing, but even if you're not entitled to any extra monthly Social Security benefits, you are entitled to that $255 lump sum death payment if you were still married when that person passed away. And $255 doesn't do it. So that's why, by popular demand, I've found a place that can help you all out. If you're looking for burial insurance, reach out to them and they can help you out. And let me know if they don't do the right thing and are not nice. I'm evaluating them to see if they're good, but so far the results are good. So, did anyone else receive a partial payment this week? It was 1/4 of my normal amount. What should I get the second Wednesday. Yeah, I'm not sure about that. Is it, yeah, back payment or something you overestimated for last year or something? So customer service does not give you correct information. I had to go in person, and the supervisor gave me another answer. Yeah, a lot of the times, yeah, it's unfortunate that the people at the front windows are generalists. They're called CSR. They're the lowest on the totem pole, but they're the hardest working, lowest paid as well. But in terms of training, they have to know it all. So they're not specialists in one particular area. So if you have a specific question, you need to talk to if it's a retirement question or a social security disability or survivor or spouse, you need to talk to a T2CS, which I was a T2CS before I became a manager. It's a Title II of the Social Security Act, a claim specialist. If it's an SSI thing, you need to talk to a Title 16 person, Title 16 of the Social Security Act of SSI, Supplemental Security Income. Yeah, unfortunately. And because Social Security is just treading water, uh, training is lacking because it's like, hey, we need to train for an hour today on this new policy coming up, but we've got 500 people on the phones, and so yeah. So there's that. Ms. Buckingham, from what I understand at fraud, you can make as much as you want anyway. Yes, that is a fact. I called Social Security at 10 a.m. They called me back at 2 p.m. and were able to set up a phone appointment for March. I'm turning 62 in April and will be applying for early retirement. Okay, so perfect. All right. Yeah, this is the first time ever that Social Security has essentially gone to an appointment only system. That tells you how bad things are. Um, and there's a few politicians, which I'm going to call out here, that are just straight out liars. That they say once telework ends, everything is going to be hunky dory, and people are going to pick up the phones, and Ed can go back into retirement. And yeah, yeah, that's not going to happen. I would love to go back into retirement, but anyway, I'm still here. So you're turning 62 in April, but you have to be 62 the entire month. So if you were born like in the first or the second, then you have to wait. Your first benefit will come. Be eligible in May, and you get your first check in June. So you have to be 62 the entire month. So I'm 61. Will be 62 in October. I'm currently receiving SSDI. Would it be wise, given what's going on, to just take my retirement and be done with it? But if you want to cut your benefits by 30%, then I wouldn't do it. 99.9% of people don't do it. But if you want to go back to work or something like that and don't want disability, then yeah, I guess that's a possibility. Scott, I am 64, receiving Social Security disability payments. My wife's 62 and makes less than 50% of my income and is planning to apply for spousal Social Security. How will this be calculated, and will it affect my benefit? It will not affect your benefit at all. So your wife is 62. She has to file for benefits on her own record. And if your benefit amount, your full benefit amount is over twice her full benefit amount, then yep, she can collect benefits on your record. So N or G, yeah, Medicare supplement. I'm kind of partial to Medicare supplement plan N because I'm cheap like that, and the monthly premiums for a plan N are less, and it looks like in the future the prices are going to go up less than plan G. So, but if you're sick or something like that, or G is easier to understand. Um, Either one of those is fine. Yeah, either one of those is perfect. So, and if you have a Medicare supplement plan G and you want to switch to an N, or if you have a plan G and you want to see if you can find a cheaper plan G, you can do that 365 days of the year. But you might have to go through the health underwriting. And what's health underwriting is, you call chapter and says, hey, Ed told me to call you, and I've got a G, and it's $185 a month, and I'm healthy. Can I, I'm healthy. I'm 85 years old. Can I switch to a cheaper G or maybe an N? And they'll say, oh, okay, well, in your area, this particular company is, $50 cheaper. And let me ask you 20 or 30 questions. Do you currently have cancer? Have you had a major operation? Or do you anticipate having a major operation here soon? Do you have heart problem? Whatever that particular company, you just answer those questions. And if you're good, then you save $50 a month, or whatever the case may be. So, if the email was changed in the Social Security portal without my knowledge or consent. Will the Social Security office be able to correct it? And what should I do? Yeah, that's strange. Like someone went into your account and changed your email or something like that. They should be able to help with that. Yeah. Yep. Definitely. Okay, so when on Social Security disability, once you turn your retirement age, you can work and make any amount. Anyone. That is correct because you're no longer on disability. You're on regular retirement benefits and you're past your full retirement age. So you can go back to making $1 billion a month. And again, no more CDRs, those continuing disability reviews, unless Congress or Elon decides to change all that. So, how long does it take Social Security to add my missing earned income? Wow, that's again low staffing. Normally, takes a day overnight. But with low staffing, if you provide proof, your W-2 or whatever, it shouldn't take theoretically that long. But they've got stacks up to here, so they'll say, "Okay, we'll get to it," and it's like the old the warehouse at the end of Indiana Jones. Yeah. If my deceased ex-spouse started his retirement benefit 16 months early, do I have to wait until my full retirement age to get his max survivor benefits? Okay, so yeah, survivor benefits are calculated really, really strange. So we're looking at survivor benefits 16 months early. Normally, it shouldn't be an issue, but yeah, it shouldn't be what's called the widow's limb, the rib limb, the widow's cap. That shouldn't factor in there. But just to make sure, what I would do is to call because he is your ex. So maybe you're not 100% sure. Maybe he said 16 months, maybe he 36 months early. So what I would do is I would call and schedule an appointment to take to survivor claim, and then say, if you're 65 right now, say, hey, how much will I get right now? And they say, okay, you'll get $2,000. And then you'll say, okay, what if I wait till next year? you know, to get these benefits, 1 year from now. And then they say, oh, that in that case, you'll get $2,600. Then your benefits are going to go up. But if you're subject to that widow's limb thing, they'll say, okay, yeah, you're entitled to $2,000 now. What if I wait a year? Oh, it's still $2,000. You're like, get your money now. So just to be 100% sure, then I would do it that way. I know it's a nightmare, but survivor benefits are calculated kind of wonky, and you might not be 100% sure. So yeah, and if it turns out you go in there and go through the rigmarole to start your benefits right now, and they say, oh yeah, it'll go up, you know, until you hit your full retirement age, then say, oh okay, in that case, bye. Don't adjudicate the claim. Don't push the button. Don't process it. I don't want to file now. I'm going to come back next year. And yeah, and you're good. So, and that way you've got a better idea of what you're looking at. I am okay. I'm going to be 65 this year, and Pa said that I will get my Medicare, but I didn't work long enough to know. And now they said that they're going to switch me to another payment. Okay. Yeah. So if you did not pay into Social Security, Medicare, or whatever the case may be, then yeah, you're not entitled to free Part A. But nobody's, Part B, everybody has to pay for it. But they switch you to another payment. So if you were married to someone and you're entitled to benefits on their record, you're also entitled to Medicare on their record. So yeah, if you're 65, then you need to sign up. So unfortunately, even if you are not eligible for free Part A, because most people don't have to pay a monthly premium for Part A. Even if you're not, you still have to technically get it. If you don't, then you're penalized later. So, all right. Do I need to report any refunds I receive while I'm in college from FAFSA? Also, okay, yeah, that doesn't sound like something I can help out with. Oh, okay. Oh, so okay. The second part. Um, can I work while I'm in college and still keep my Social Security disability welfare? Yeah, SSI. I did a couple of videos on SSI. Those, because it's a welfare-based program. Yes, you can work and receive SSI, but sometimes your SSI is offset by what you receive on work. SSI is a completely different animal. So anytime you work and receive SSI, your reporting responsibilities are your reporting responsibilities. You have to call Social Security and say, hey, you send in the pay stubs and stuff, and they will determine how much your benefits are going to be withheld or offset. So, all right, let's see here. Daniel, son, 28, permanently disabled since birth on SSI, going to apply for adult disability. You think it is worth it for Medicare as primary? Also, are there less asset limitations to worry about? There are zero asset limitations to worry about once you get on Medicare, or excuse me, Medicare as well. But once your child gets on, your son becomes what's called a disabled adult child, he is going to be receiving SSDI, and there's no resource or income limitations. Well, um, there's income work limitations, but if he's got a trust or something like that, it doesn't affect only work. So it's regular disability. With SSI, there's income and resources and all that kind of stuff. But if so, he can only file for disabled adult child benefits if one of his parents start receiving retirement or disability benefits. And then if the parent starts receiving retirement or disability benefits, you kind of don't have a choice because he's receiving SSI, which is a welfare program, and that money comes out of the general taxation, doesn't come out of the trust fund, it comes out of general taxation. So when you're on SSI, you're obligated to file for any other benefits you're entitled to. So that means as soon as one of the parents start benefits, those benefits are available to him. So he has to file for them. And then after being on Social Security disability for 2 years, his Medicare will start. So I'm 66 and a half. I plan to call to get survivor ex-spouse. I currently have insurance through my work. Will they force me to switch to Medicare or since working keep my current insurance? No, they will force you to sign up for Part A. Anytime you receive benefits from Social Security and you're 65 or older, they sign you up for Part A automatically, which it will be zero premium for you. But no, you can refuse Part B. Yep. So if you have health insurance from current work and your employer that group health plan has 20 or more employees and you're happy with it and they're not making you sign up, your employer says, oh yeah, you got to sign up. And so that's between you and them. But yeah, you do not have to sign up for Part B. And then later on, when you stop working 5 years from now, 10 years from now, then you go ahead and sign up for Part B, and there is no penalty. Taken took. Hey, what's up, Taken? Um, Senator Slotkin expressed strong concern over Musk and his script kids having access to all these federal databases without background checks. Hoping more politicians will speak out about this. I mean, wow. That's If you want to inquire about Medicare, please call chapter and don't ask RFK. I like it. Yeah, RFK, who's going to be running essentially Medicare, didn't know what Medicare Part A was, and yeah, and then he got offended because he was called out on it. So no, yeah. So wow. I will continue working, but signed up for Medicare as of April 2025. Yeah. When you get 65, people hear all the time that you have to sign up for Medicare. That's not right. I did a video on Medicare, kind of the mistakes people made a couple of days ago, I think it was. But people think they have to sign up for Medicare at 65. No, not necessarily. If you're working and have health insurance from work and yours or your spouse's current work, and 20 or more employees and you're happy with it, then you don't have to sign up for Medicare. And you don't even have to note it. We used to get people and people call us up all the time and says, yeah, I'm turning 65 and I don't want Medicare. And we're like, okay, well, thanks for letting us know. You didn't need to call. Unless you're currently receiving Social Security benefits. If you are currently receiving, monthly benefits, and you're 62, 63, and you're about to turn 65, then they sign you up for Medicare automatically, Part A and Part B. So at that time, you do have to do something. You have to just contact Social Security and say, no, I don't want Part B. I have health insurance from work. Yeah. So, uh, yeah, different answers. Wow. Hey Ed, ran out of time yesterday on your video, so I have two questions. Okay. If you're retired, waiting on disability, very limited income on Medicare, can I still apply for low income health service? Yeah. As you know, all they can say is no. Anything like that. You remember I did the video on living on Social Security alone when I went through 50 different programs, electrical assistance, and all kinds of different stuff out there that might help you out. So watch that one. But yeah, you apply for everything and anything is available out there, and they'll ask you the questions. And if they say you are good, then you're good. So absolutely. Let's see. I don't know why I didn't get my SSDI, and now I have to apply for emergency SSI and will be forced to retire at 62 and lose 300. Okay, so if you're on SSI, have to apply for. Okay, no, you want to apply for emergency SSI. Well, they're both for you. They're both disability programs. So some people get SSI and SSDI, Social Security Disability Insurance, or SSI, Supplemental Security Income. So not sure why you were denied for disability. Was it a medical denial or a technical denial? You did not work 5 out of the last 10 years, or you're not insured, or whatever. Well, you're obviously insured because you're thinking about retiring at 62. Um, so yeah, if you were denied, you have appeal rights. The SSA 561 request for reconsideration, and you submit it. And there's also, if you've got any new doctors or something, you fill out this yellow form, the SSA 3441, and any new doctors or issues. And yeah, they'll definitely someone else will look at your case and see if you're approved. So. All right, let's see. Let me get some people I don't recognize here. Danny, I'm jumping around a little bit. We're out of time. I've been fighting SSI for my son who has mental problems that cause him not to be able to work because of it. Judge denied it without knowing all the facts. Please help. Yeah, so if a judge denied it, then yeah, you've gone pretty much to the top. The next appeal stage is called the Appeals Council out of Falls Church, Virginia. And so you just do that. And um, what they do is they review the judge's decision to make sure the judge took everything into consideration. And if they didn't, then the appeals council will send it back to the judge and says, hey, you didn't do X, Y, and Z, do it. So yeah, I would definitely go through that. I know it's a nightmare, but all right, we are out of time, over an hour. I apologize. A lot of questions not able to answer, but I will be back again tomorrow. So y'all take care. Have a great night and take care of each